the profound truths in the teachings of the Buddha. Listening every day brings peace and freedom, living life at ease. Like a spider slowly spinning its silk, weaving a beautiful web for the natural world, thereby creating myriad things in this universe. Its beauty is boundless. When our mind desires something, we think that if we can achieve it, we will surely be happy. But once our dream becomes reality, our heart feels empty. Do you know why? The arising of desire is like dreaming of something. Once it is attained, once the long-held hope is fulfilled, there is no more excitement, like water flowing through the gaps between our fingers. Therefore, there is nothing certain in human life, is there? Indeed, that is so. Let us forget the illusory desires of the world, forget thoughts of life and death, because none of that brings us any benefit, even if we fear the disappearance of this life. First, let's deny its existence, and then seek that hidden self within. There are countless people in this world who suffer from material hardship. Their lives are poor, lacking in food and clothing, enduring much injustice. Many others suffer spiritually. When someone wants to jump into a deep valley, why not notice the beautiful scenery before their eyes? Anything excessive, even joy, ultimately turns into suffering. Thus, one must maintain the middle way, Trung Dao. In so doing, you will clearly see the nature of all things and attain infinite tranquility for eons to come. Nowadays, we often observe and criticize others, expecting scriptures or scholars to wash away their sins, just like how we perform offerings or sacrifices. Yet we affirm that the cause of all sins lies in our own selves, and only we ourselves can open the door to liberation. Suppose someone wants to cross to the other side of the river. What should they do? I think if the river is shallow, they can wade across. If it is too deep, they could paddle a boat or swim across. But if he does not want to wade, does not want to swim, and does not want to row, then what? If he only prays to the gods, will the opposite shore appear at his feet? Such a person we call ignorant, a great fool. Likewise, if someone uses wisdom to subdue desire and ignorance, how could he not find the truth and the path of liberation? But if one only clings to prayers or sacrifices, one will forever remain where one started, never stepping beyond. Look at the ground beneath our feet, our foundation, and look at the blue sky overhead that grants us freedom. Our body dwells within it. What is called the supreme truth? It can only be experienced within oneself. It is to understand yourself thoroughly, to perceive that your true self has neither thought nor desire. Only by sensing and maintaining balance can you realize it. Once you master this, you no longer see the existence of all things as distinct. You do not feel any difference whether the weather changes or leaves wither from the trees. Can we sense that as well? Of course we can. Wisdom is present everywhere: the sun, the moon, the stars, and the Milky Way. This supreme truth is something everyone can possess. Blessed One, in meditation, what have you attained? I have attained nothing at all. I have simply distanced myself from anger and have freed myself from sorrow. I feel no anxiety, no fear of old age, and I have overcome death. My concern is for everything. Righteous action is like a spark in a forest. In order to sustain the flame, it burns everything in its path. The more it burns, the stronger it grows. Evil conduct is the same. Wrath, sadness, greed, and fear feed on our inner fuel, burning incessantly. Anger and greed keep burning until we escape from the cycle of rebirth. Suppose someone only focuses on material pleasures in life, working hard to gain wealth, but remains entangled in contradictions, becoming ever deeper in them, never satisfied, worrying day and night without rest. Once that wealth disappears, what then? If one can sever such attachments, one would not worry about the future, nor carry the burdens of the past. Remaining calm, free, and mindful in the present, maintaining the middle way, one ultimately perceives the true joy of life. If a person has always abided rigidly by a certain principle, that person can lose the freedom of their spirit, becoming inflexible and lacking in adaptability. If one blindly adheres to biased views, believing only one's faith is the true truth while rejecting everything else, then there is no freedom of thought left, only dogmatism. At that point, people's minds become controlled and opposition arises naturally, leading to blind faith. Even having no faith at all can be a form of enslavement. Thought is immensely powerful. It can entirely dominate you. Yet, clinging rigidly to it is the greatest obstacle on the spiritual path. If you remain attached, the door to truth can never open. Mastering Oknyak, if everyone follows your teachings, will they still be bound? What I teach is derived from my own realizations. My path is not a set of rules, not scriptures or philosophy. It is a pure experience, which is also the impermanent truth. But if someone turns your path into a dogma, my path is for practice, not dependence or worship. Nor is it for those who do not apply themselves to genuine practice. All the knowledge I have shared is like a raft. It can be used to cross the river. But after we have used this raft to cross, do we still need to carry it on our heads? Yet I cannot help feeling a certain emotion. Emotions can be divided into three kinds: joy, sorrow, and tranquility. These three feelings always exist in our body and mind. Emotions, like a rising flame, surge up and then subside into calm. So what should I do first? First, observe the degree of your feelings. Understand them deeply. Seek out their source, whether it's joy or sorrow. Find where they come from. Once you find that source, you will discover that everything is emptiness. By emptiness, we refer to a sky so vast and clear. Though you see nothing in it, it encompasses all things, like a great veil. Continue to rely upon that to practice, and you will see the flames of old gradually subside. An incomparable stillness manifests in the depths of your heart, unmoving. Looking deeply within, you see your errors. The seeming solidity that is most difficult to break is actually weakness. Ignorance is the root of all afflictions. We see by means of meditation. Meditation can dispel ignorance. Apart from meditation, rituals, ascetic practices, fasting, sacrifice, or other methods cannot lead to the enlightenment I have today. I underwent extremely difficult trials. Desire, anger, delusion, greed, hunger, everything appeared before me. Yet my mind remained steadfast, unmoved. I once vowed that even if I had to sacrifice my life, I would still realize the supreme truth. Finally, I attained that ultimate truth. Please teach me this path to realizing wholesome dharmas. All things in this world merge into one essence. It's like a hidden thread we cannot see. If you diligently do good, like pouring oil into a flame over time, merit will follow you from life to life until you achieve enlightenment. Conversely, if you commit evil, you will endure suffering for many lifetimes. Thus, those causes will lead to downfall. But if you stay mindful in each moment, maintaining inner stillness and peace, you will find the middle way within, untouched by sorrow or happiness, free from the flow of karma. Through mindfulness, you will realize the impermanent truth. Yet your words contradict each other. You believe in future lives, but deny the existence of the self. If there is no self, how can there be a next life? What you say is correct, but these ideas do not conflict. No self, and there is a future life. How is that so? Have you ever seen a ripe mango? When we plant its seed, a tree grows and bears fruit. Isn't that the next generation of the mango tree? You ask if I am denying its nature, Venerable. Regarding the first of the Four Noble Truths, you propose that everything is suffering. Birth is suffering, death is suffering, and in life only suffering. Isn't that negative thinking? You are not wrong. But why does the First Noble Truth say that? Following that is the cessation of suffering, describing how suffering ends. First, I explain what suffering is, then I show people how to triumph over it. So how could that be entirely negative? Are you here to destroy this world, driving all young people to become monks? I am not here to destroy the world. What I want people to abandon are false pleasures, guiding them back to the root of life. This path demands courage. Only those of great bravery can walk it in this vast world. Holding a begging bowl in hand, each moment focusing on body and mind, is like walking on the tip of a blade. A child who remains unawakened can either uplift his family or cause them great harm. Similarly, a monk who considers the whole world as his family can bring about its uplift if he is awakened. Yes, that is correct. You teach the principle of not killing. Soldiers turning into monks want to uphold justice, but they end up feeling guilty. That is correct, but not killing is a kind of transformation. Violence can never be extinguished by further violence. Only love can accomplish this. This is the law of nature. Everyone fears death. Once you realize that others share the same thought, you will naturally let go of violence. Venerable, please teach us the key points in the householder's life. In married life, equality is most important. A family where husband and wife love and live harmoniously will flourish and radiate prosperity, allowing everyone in the world to sense happiness. This union must transcend mere physical or material desires. A wife is part of her husband's own body. A husband must give his wife respect and honor, never shaming her in public. The wife, likewise, must uphold the standards of a woman, and the husband must live up to the duties of a husband, avoiding bad habits. Whatever decisions the husband makes, he should consider his wife's wishes. To love one's husband is the wife's responsibility, regarding her husband's family as her own, serving as a loving harbor, caring for each member of his family, respecting them like honored guests. If you trust one another in this way, the supreme truth belongs to you. Venerable Master, from your compassion, please tell us what we must pay attention to in order to follow the path you have shown. You must be close to good people. Those who cannot stay mindful easily make you lazy or careless, creating adverse conditions for cultivation. Then your mind state will remain pure, unpolluted. Your occupation should also be in line with the Dharma. Whatever your job, merchandising or menial tasks, first understand it thoroughly, then devote yourself to it. Even cooking rice or boiling water should not be seen as trivial. See it as an opportunity to care for yourself, your husband, and your children. For all fortunate conditions in life, do not be selfish or live only for yourself. Share your happiness, success, and wealth with others. Steer clear of gambling and drunkenness. As a person, be humble, polite, friendly, and upright. Offering alms to monks or practicing meditation can help eliminate anxiety and hardship. In the end, your soul will taste the supreme serenity. Always remember, each morning when we wake to the dawn of a new day, we must be mindful of what we need to do. People often forget to be grateful. We should all keep in mind what we owe others. Just as plants rely on wind, water, and air, none of which truly belongs to us. We must feel gratitude for everything. Live and think in gratitude, and you will reap more benefits. It's surely not a futile matter. If it were all in vain, wouldn't we fall ill? And once ill, death would not be far behind, right? Carrying gratitude in our hearts is like a beautiful flower in full bloom in this world. These past 3 years, have you gained victory over anything? I depart not for any triumph, but because of loss. Because of loss? Yes, I have lost anger, lost greed, lost jealousy and hatred, lost envy. Therefore, I have nothing left. Only the shore of stillness remains. I see. You mean you are truly at peace, right? But I am living in anger, correct? Those are your own words. Anger makes you suffer. Just a moment of argument and coarse words can bring anger, halting our steps toward truth. That is simply self-protection. I feel no anger. That is wonderful. Anger is like holding a burning ember in your hand, wanting to throw it at someone else. But before you can do so, your own hand is already burned. Desire, jealousy, anger, ignorance, and greed are all bindings. I want to help people escape them. These flames consume lives, causing countless deaths. I call upon everyone to come forth, stepping out of the inferno of the human heart. But inside there is still a window open, like Kobun, if one is willing to listen. Anyone who draws near me will be safe, following me out of this sea of fire. The way of liberation is right before you. Hatred does not end hatred, only love can resolve it. That is also a law of nature. Fleeting joys steal our real treasure, which is supreme stillness. Once tempted by such pleasures, letting them embed deeply in our minds is like driving a long nail in. Facing this situation, what should we do, Blessed One? At that moment, focus on your breath. Inhale slowly and deeply, letting tranquil energy fill you. Then gently exhale, returning to the realm of supreme stillness. That mother and daughter took advantage of Venerable Ananda's kindness and purity, wanting to lure him into a path of delusion. I love Venerable Ananda so much. Is that true? Do you love him more than your own life? What is so special about Ananda that makes you so infatuated? Everything about him, his eyes, his nose, his lips, his words, his every action, I love them all. He is handsome, dignified, virtuous. Everyone loves him. Have you ever seen the infinite love in Ananda's heart? Do you know who Ananda loves most? No, it's surely not me. You are mistaken. Ananda also cares for you, but not in the same way you mean. Ananda is free and independent. His love is vast, encompassing all beings. He gives all his energy so that all can share in that boundless love. Ananda's love does not give rise to lust or suffering, but your love triggers possessiveness. If you truly love Ananda, you must see all this and not block his path. On the contrary, you could help his love ascend to a higher realm. Your love is selfish, wanting to keep Ananda for yourself. Can you love him the way he loves all living beings? Can you teach me how to love without selfishness, like Ananda does? To love all beings with the infinitely wide wings of enlightenment? Can you accept someone as lowly as me, Master? Forgive me. From now on, I will follow your path too. You wonder whether people here make offerings to the monks, correct? Blessed teacher, can we go elsewhere to seek alms? Certainly. But why do you want to move elsewhere? Because the people in that village constantly insult and ridicule us, humiliating us. They tease and demean us. That's why we are angry. So if they greeted you with flags and applause, would you be happy? Does that mean you've given your inner peace over to others? External circumstances can shake you or please you. If you still harbor anger, you are far from enlightenment. Venerable teacher, we understand your words. I ask you to remember this. People do not easily accept something new. You are undermining their previous beliefs. Naturally, they dislike it. First, they will mock you, then attack you, and later ignore you. Eventually, though, they will accept you. You must undergo transformation, maintaining humility and patience. Please let me come in. I want to see Bodhi. He is my last hope. Please save my son. Return my son to me. Return him to you? Bodhi, please save my child. Can you revive him? If you can, please do one thing for me first. Go to any home in the city and ask for a single mustard seed. Yes, I will go right away. But remember, the home you visit must be one where no one has ever died. Yes, Master. Child of mine. Sir, can you give me just one mustard seed? Of course. You only need one? Sure. But tell me, has anyone in your family ever passed away? What are you talking about? I won't hide it. My parents died half a year ago. Then I'm sorry, I cannot take your seed. In this world, that which is born must die. Such is the law of nature. Young or old, wise or foolish, all must die. If I had told you this truth right away, you would not have believed me. The moon hanging in the sky is like the supreme truth. Each night the moon rises, gradually waxing, then once full it wanes and disappears before appearing once more. It doesn't vanish, it just lies beyond our sight. Your child has not truly vanished, for he still lives in your heart. Yes, that's right. If you return to calmness, you will understand these things. The truth of life is like our own shadow. Suffering follows us everywhere. The cause of suffering is clinging to external things. Understand that nothing can last forever. Then how can suffering bind us? The key to liberation is in the transformation of the mind. Whether sorrow crashes in or joy floods over, remain unmoved between those two extremes. Practice so, and suffering's shackles will naturally break. Understand the highest truth, and with the unfolding of wisdom, you will see life and death are not two separate entities. Within death is something undying. Within sorrow, one finds joy. Within cruelty, one finds humanity. Within evil, one finds goodness. Ignorance has clouded human vision. Breaking through such illusions, all suffering and worry vanish. Compassion and forgiveness arise. Awakening reveals all beings share the same feelings. If you do not awaken, you will not see the wonder of awakening. If you yearn for awakening, you too may become Bodhi. My dear bhikkhus, here is my final admonition. Be a lamp unto yourselves. Be your own lamp, watchful, upholding the Dharma, focusing on your own mind. Return to rely on yourself, depend on no one else. All is impermanent. Remain steadfast amidst change, never letting negligence overtake you. This is the supreme truth, not somewhere in empty space, but within each person's heart. All of you are diligent in keeping the 5 precepts. So today, pledge that you will surely love and protect your children and wholeheartedly care for your elders. Show compassion to those who strive diligently. Toward the weak, however wrong they may be, act with lenience. Remember, you will find such opportunities everywhere in your daily life. Blessed Bodhi, sometimes we unintentionally do things against the Dharma. If we feel remorse for those wrongdoings, must we constantly reform our behavior? Our thoughts shape who we are. Bad thoughts manifest in bad deeds, and suffering arises from that. It is like a cart moving in the direction the ox walks. If you constantly fill your mind with thoughts of goodness, you will create wholesome karma and happiness will remain by your side throughout this life. But what if we face unforeseen events? Please instruct us, Blessed One. In summary, there are three most important points. Have we loved sincerely? Have we lived fully? Can we take a step further and let go of everything? The reason we exist is to search for the meaning of life. When we sacrifice ourselves, offering our entire heart and soul, we discover the true essence of being. Life and death are like a shadow following form, gathering and then dispersing. All phenomena are impermanent. Do not cling to them. Life and death, sunset and sunrise, you must surpass these. Venerable Sariputta was like a strong branch, giving his life for the nourishment of the whole great tree. Yet that branch is still part of the trunk of the great tree, which is the Sangha of bhikkhus practicing the true path, flourishing throughout the world. Bodhi, when you open your eyes, you will see Sariputta right there in the leaves, in the moonlight, in the people he taught, along the roads he once traveled. Do not think Sariputta has left us. He remains, always by our side. My dear bhikkhus, Sariputta has entered nirvana. Today I wish to remind all of you, be a lamp unto yourselves. That victory is yours alone. Remember, conquering yourself is more important than conquering others. No one can ever steal that victory. Not gods, not asuras, not the realms of heaven or hell. Angulimala has shed his old skin to take on a new form. Likewise, you too must let go of the past. Today, after preaching, we will go to Bala. I have witnessed each drop of water converging into the great ocean. There are three truths everyone can practice: a broad mind, speech that questions and discerns, a heart of compassion offered to all life. These three mottos form the basis for building trust, so that beings may love and befriend each other. Whether poor or wealthy, everyone suffers differently. Bhikkhus and bhikkhunis, the knowledge I have passed on to you must be contemplated deeply, carefully observed, and applied to your practice. First, realize it for yourselves, and only then share it with others. From today onward, you bear the heavy responsibility of spreading the supreme truth to all beings. Do not believe anything hastily, even my words. Only after you apply your own learning and wisdom, confirm it without doubt, should you affirm its reliability. Bhikkhus, bhikkhunis, all phenomena are impermanent. They arise and pass away. Strive earnestly for liberation. 3 months from now, from today, I shall enter Mahaparinirvana. You there, some people's names and their qualities or actions do not match, but your name, Anathapindika, truly expresses who you are. Anatha means one who is poor and humble. Pindika means you give your resources to help others. Even as time changes, your good name and reputation will never be lost. Even meager food, if shared with love, can become delicious. You can offer your heart and wealth, everything, from your genuine goodwill. Don't touch me. Even my shadow will defile you. Why would I be defiled? You and I are the same, both human. A person's touch cannot pollute another. Only greed, hatred, ignorance, and desire can defile a person. One who is filled with love like you only brings joy to others, never suffering. You are no ordinary man. You must be a sage. You know nothing about castes or lineage. Wearing a monk's robe doesn't necessarily make one a true monk. You are deceiving people, stealing their trust. That is a real deception. If calling me a deceitful person makes you more comfortable, then so be it. But labeling this man here as lowly and insulting him is itself deception. I'll tell you what our Dharma teaching is. Throwing dust into the air does not lower the sky. The dust simply falls back onto us. The sky does not discriminate, like a silent father sheltering humanity. The vast earth gives birth to trees bearing fruit for all, not choosing who can eat. The gentle wind offers coolness to all beings. Water quenches everyone's thirst. Nature has never been biased, so why do we humans trample upon one another? What you say is reasonable, so why not let him become a bhikkhu in your sangha? These words of yours truly make sense. Sunita, do you agree to become a bhikkhu? Me, a mere outcast, to become the monk of a great master like you? I am unworthy. You have empathy for others' pain, making it your own. This virtue is rare in our world. A prince could become a bhikkhu disciple of mine, and so can you. In your entire life, no one has ever spoken to you gently like this. Today, someone loves and cares for you. This is the first time you feel yourself to be human. May you not commit any wrong. No more wrongdoing shall occur. All humans have thoughts and can manifest their potential, rediscovering their own dignity. My teaching is the teaching of boundless love, welcoming all beings. The Ganges, Yamuna, Asiravati, Sarabu, Mahi, these rivers all flow into the great ocean, losing all distinction in name or nature. Likewise, if anyone is determined to leave home, practicing the true path, whether from a Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Shudra background, ultimately all those streams merge into the ocean of truth. The tears of every being are salty, and every being's blood is red. It is humans who create false prejudices to oppress one another. Today I will break those false beliefs. Sunita is an example, the first step in the living history of such transformations. Life and death are inevitable. Reflect carefully and remain constantly vigilant. Don't let yourself sink in desire. More so, live a peaceful, happy, and content life. This is the essence of the Dharma, the true meaning of existence. The truth neither arises nor perishes, neither begins nor ends, neither decreases nor increases. Only one thing remains, supreme stillness. Bhikkhus, always remember that a suspicious mind is a dangerous disease, dividing human hearts like poison that kills friendship. It is like a thorn piercing into our bones. Never forget that our thoughts shape who we are. I merely show you the way, you yourselves must walk it. The most fearsome enemy of humans is themselves. Our deeds are shaped by our thoughts. Good thoughts lead to good deeds. Negative thoughts lead to negative deeds. That is the law of nature. I have found the path to liberation. Now the door to blessings is open. This is everyone's treasure. I wish to awaken those lost in darkness, to stir their minds. Because of ignorance, there is suffering, confusion, anxiety, greed, anger, arrogance, delusion, jealousy, fear. All illusions arise from ignorance, yet illusions themselves can contrast ignorance. Maintain the middle way. Do not lean too far left or right. Do not let your body starve, nor indulge in desires. Focus on the middle path. If you recognize evil as merely an illusion, all afflictions disappear. We then perceive love and tolerance. Both have the same origin. Perceiving this, enmity fades away. One who treats us harshly can be understood and forgiven. Once the door of wisdom opens, only compassion remains. In meditation, if the mind gives rise to delusions, wisdom can help us discern truth from phenomena, distinguish self from others. Yet precisely that discrimination leads us astray. Human beings are often bound by emotion. Greed is the reason we drift away from the truth, trapped in the cycle of birth and death. We fear illness and death, which only deepens our ignorance and fear. Thus, we must end all delusions. Once you transcend illusions, your life is freed from confinement, entering purity, tranquility, and peace. The Four Noble Truths are four exalted realities. The first reality is suffering. No one can escape it. It follows us like a shadow. The second reality is the cause of suffering: ignorance, greed, anger, sorrow, worry, fear, despair, and attachment to self. The third reality is the cessation of suffering, wisdom, a clear understanding of ourselves and life. This insight ends suffering, giving rise to peace. The fourth reality is the path that leads to the cessation of suffering, the Noble Eightfold Path, nurtured by alertness and mindfulness, culminating in concentration and wisdom, freeing us from all suffering. And what is that path? It is the 8 righteous ways: right understanding, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. Righteousness will guide our actions. I am the awakened one, and I embody the Dharma. Stop there, Angulimala the bandit. Huh? Did you not hear me telling you to stop? You said you have stopped, but clearly you are still walking. So why say I have not stopped? I have indeed stopped all evil deeds that harm beings. I am learning to protect all life. If you look with compassion, you will see all beings wish to live. No, I must kill them all. Humans have no love or compassion, only cruelty and deceit. You believe so because you have been gravely hurt. Angulimala, human cruelty arises from ignorance, hatred, jealousy, stupidity, anger, and desire, all from ignorance. Yet love, forgiveness, compassion, understanding, and humility also dwell in each of us. Even the cruelest among us holds some goodness. Wipe your eyes clean and look carefully. You are no ordinary man. Are you Bodhi, who has been spreading the path of liberation everywhere? I am a very ordinary person, teaching the path of awakening. All beings share the same capacity for enlightenment. My teaching can transform cruelty into fearlessness and peace. If you stop your hateful steps, you are already walking the path of love and kindness. You're the Buddha, but I have sunk too deep in sin, killed too many, I cannot stop. Nothing is impossible. Doing good is never too late. If you are clear-headed enough to see your own crimes, you still know right from wrong. Angulimala, from now on, if you sincerely repent and start anew, that will be the beginning of a new life. Even if I do good, to everyone else I am still a demon. They will not let me be. If you can give up violence, I will guide you. I will protect you from their hatred. But you must walk the path yourself. You swear it? Of course, Angulimala, you have exceptional intelligence. On the path of awakening, you will surely achieve great results. Yes, I vow to you, I will never again commit evil. From now on, I will devote myself wholeheartedly to your path of compassion. Please, accept me as your disciple. I do not accept disciples. People choose to join the Sangha themselves. Like a snake shedding its old skin for a new body, we too can transform, renewing our lives through our own efforts. Again, your words seem contradictory. You acknowledge future lifetimes, yet deny a self. Without a self, how can there be another life? What you say is correct, but these are not contradictory. No self, yet still future births. How is that possible? Have you ever seen a ripe mango? We plant its seed, it grows into a mango tree bearing fruit. Isn't that the next life of the mango tree? So you're denying its innate nature, O sage. Regarding the first of the Four Noble Truths, you say everything is suffering, birth is suffering, death is suffering, life is suffering. Isn't that pessimistic? You're correct in asking, but why does the first Noble Truth say so? The later Noble Truths speak of ending suffering. First, we explain the reality of suffering, then we guide people to overcome it. How can that be wholly pessimistic? You have come here to ruin the world, to make young men become monks? I am not destroying the world. I want people to let go of false pleasures, guiding them back to the root of existence. This path requires courage. Only the truly brave can do it in this great world. Carrying the alms bowl, focusing on body and mind in each moment, is like treading on a razor's edge. An unawakened child can uplift his family or harm them profoundly. Likewise, a mindful monk who sees the world as his family can uplift the world. You say it well. You teach non-killing, turning soldiers into monks, making them feel guilt when they want to fight for justice. That is true, yet to not kill is a transformation. Violence cannot extinguish violence. Only compassion can do that. It's a natural law. Everyone fears death. If you know others feel the same, you will stop resorting to violence.
Hello everyone, welcome to Mind Podcast Buddhism. Today we will talk about the topic, Buddha's teachings on the impermanence of the world. Impermanence is a profound truth that affects every aspect of our lives. By understanding and applying this teaching, we can let go of attachments, embrace the present moment, and live with a clearer, more compassionate heart. Impermanence teaches us not to cling to the transient, but to find the enduring truth within. This principle not only guides us to live more meaningfully, but also helps us reconnect with our true nature, our Buddha nature, which remains untouched by the ceaseless changes around us. Let's delve into this essential teaching and explore how it can transform our understanding and approach to life. Impermanence is a truth. Firstly, when we talk about impermanence, it is a truth. Whether Buddha is present in the world or not, the world remains impermanent, always changing and never standing still. Understanding this helps us live more freely and with less attachment. Although Buddhists have heard and understood that the world is impermanent, do we always remember it? We hear about impermanence, but when we encounter impermanent situations, we still feel sad and suffer. Therefore, today's topic aims to help Buddhists deeply understand this principle, bringing Buddhist teachings into our ever-changing worldly life. The ancients had a saying, "The sea can turn into mulberry fields," indicating that the vast sea can transform into fields, and vice versa. Indeed, nowadays, some places have filled in the sea to create land. During a visit to the Netherlands, the monks saw that people also filled in the sea to create residential areas. Thus, it is evident that the sea can turn into mulberry fields. Conversely, mulberry fields can become the sea. Therefore, the world is never stationary, but people always want to hold on to it as if it were unchanging, and that is why we suffer. For example, everyone born will grow old and die. This is the natural law. Everything in this world undergoes such transformation. We may love someone and want to see them forever, not wanting to part or lose them, so when we do lose them, we suffer. As Buddhists, we understand that the law of impermanence governs everything. As the saying goes, you cannot step into the same river twice, because once you step in and then out, the water that flows next is different. In daily life, when we see beautiful scenes, we take photos to keep them, but can we really keep them? We see a beautiful scene and want to preserve it for a long time, but it is impossible because the world is always changing. In the past, when King Tronyantong became a monk, he founded the Truk Lam Zen school and was known as the first patriarch of Truk Lam. In his verse, Ascending the Baodai Mountain, he wrote, "All things in this world are like flowing water. 100 years the heart speaks to the heart." Everything in this world is like water flowing. This stream pushes the next stream, constantly moving forward. Life is the same, continuously moving on. 100 years the heart speaks to the heart, meaning that one's heart always reminds oneself that worldly matters are ever changing. Understanding this truth reduces suffering and lightens our burdens. Living in accordance with conditions. Understanding the impermanent nature of the world helps Buddhists live according to conditions. By doing so, they do not cling, which greatly reduces suffering. People suffer because they try to hold on to what has passed, but holding on is impossible and causes suffering. If someone lives clinging to the past, they forget the present. Older people often reminisce about their glorious past and feel sad, forgetting about their current life. Those who know how to live according to conditions have a smoother, fresher, and more open life. In ancient times, in the highlands of eastern Tibet, there was an old man who lost his wife early and lived with his only son in a stone tent. The old man spent his days turning the prayer wheel and reciting the mantra Om Mani Padme Hum, while his son loved his only horse. One day, the horse ran away and could not be found. The neighbors felt sorry for the old man because he only had his son and the horse to help him. They helped him search for the horse, but to no avail. They lamented his misfortune. However, the old man, understanding the Dharma, remained calm and said, "My dear friends, don't lament. Whatever comes and goes, I silently thank it. Just wait and see." A few days later, the horse returned, bringing with it a wild horse. The neighbors came to share in his joy. Previously, they had shared in his sorrow, and now they were sharing in his happiness for having another horse. But the old man continued his daily routine of turning the prayer wheel and said, "I also sincerely thank this event, but who knows? Just wait and see." When he lost the horse, he did not hurry to grieve. When he gained the horse, he did not hurry to rejoice. Knowing how to live according to conditions, he reduced his suffering. A few weeks later, the son, excited about having another horse, climbed on it. The wild horse, not yet tamed, bucked wildly, causing the son to fall and break his leg. The neighbors came again to offer their condolences. "We thought it was good luck, but now it has caused your son to break his leg. He is your only son, and now you have to take care of him." The old man remained calm, saying, "I thank the Bodhisattva Avalokitesvara. After all, my son is still with me." The old man, a lay practitioner who understood the impermanent nature of life, did not feel sad. If we were in his situation, we would probably feel very sad. But he calmly thanked the Bodhisattva Avalokitesvara because his son was still with him. If we see things clearly, everything will change. Not long after, invaders attacked the country, and the king decreed that all young men must go to the front lines to fight. All the young men in the village joined the army, but the old man's son was exempt due to his broken leg. The neighbors came again to share in his joy. The old man composed a verse for his son, which also serves as a lesson for us. "The wheel of life spins rapidly, up and down like the water wheel. This body has taken countless forms, endlessly revolving. This body has taken thousands of forms, each form is destroyed and then reformed like wet clay shaped on the potter's wheel. Life keeps spinning like a water wheel, continuously revolving. This body has existed here countless times, endlessly revolving in the cycle of birth and death. It has taken thousands of forms, each destroyed and reformed, like wet clay shaped on the potter's wheel. The low will rise high, the high will fall low. One day, just wait, the darkness will clear, the wealthy will lose their riches, all forms will change. Life is impermanent, never standing still. Low becomes high, high becomes low, darkness becomes light, and the wealthy can lose their fortunes. Riches can be lost to accidents, fires, floods, etc., meaning that all forms will change. In the endless dance of duality. This is the game of relativity that he calls duality. My child, if you are a special child, people will discover that you belong to a reincarnated lineage and bring you to the monastery with the lamas. If you are wise and articulate, people will put you in office work and tie you behind a desk. Each horse gives you a pile of work. Each wealth ends in contention. Each horse gives you a pile of work, meaning you have to take care of it, feed it, etc. Wealth always ends in contention. Who knows what karma will bring tomorrow? Today you sow, one life it will ripen, reaping fully, that is certain. So be kind to everything, mindless and non-judgmental. Do not covet evil things. All gains and losses, successes and failures are just illusions. Tomorrow, who knows what will come? Today what you sow will ripen in a future life, and you will reap that fruit. Sow good seeds today, and you will reap good fruits. Sow bad seeds, and you will reap bad fruits. The timing is uncertain, but the reaping is certain. So, he advises us to be kind to everything. If you want to enjoy sweet fruits, plant sweet seeds, not sour ones. All gains and losses, successes and failures are just illusions, not worth worrying about. Do not hope or fear, my child. Do not seek, and thus you will not be disappointed. If you do not seek, you will not be disappointed. Disappointment comes from excessive seeking. The more you seek, the more you are disappointed. Seek less, be less disappointed. Accept all, whether it comes or goes, and live according to the vastness of heaven. Be truly simple, without worry, and live according to the Buddha nature within you, resting in the joy of your true nature. You can shoot as many arrows as you want into the sky, but they will all fall back to the ground. No matter how many arrows you shoot into the sky, they will all fall back. He advises us to accept everything, whether it comes or goes, with equanimity. Live according to the law of cause and effect. Knowing that everything happens according to cause and effect, accept it as it comes and goes. Live simply, without worry, in accordance with the Buddha nature within you, resting in the joy of your true nature. Buddhists understand that the world is impermanent and always changing, so they live according to conditions, aligned with their Buddha nature, which is their awakened and clear mind. This reduces suffering. Clearly, life is impermanent, always changing, and everything in this world is relative, never completely perfect. However, people always want everything to be perfect and complete, and when they do not get it, they suffer. Understanding this, we know to live according to conditions, reducing suffering. Wanting everything to be perfect will lead to suffering when it does not happen. For example, two close friends might drift apart over time. When they meet again and find that the friendship has changed, one might feel betrayed and sad. This happens because one expects the friendship to remain unchanged, leading to suffering. But this is the law of relativity in the world. People's minds are always changing, living in ignorance and change. When we see it change, we should understand it as natural. Even our minds are impermanent. When we first start practicing, we may be very enthusiastic, but after 5 or 7 years, our enthusiasm may wane. This is due to the impermanence of the mind. Understanding this, we know to follow the law of cause and effect and live with our clear and awakened mind, our innate Buddha nature. That is what truly does not change. Living with wisdom and adapting to conditions, even while living in the world, allows us to find joy in the Dharma. For instance, there was an old man who did not live in a monastery but applied the Dharma in his worldly life. So he was always happy, whether gaining or losing. In the poem Living Joyfully in the World by King Tran Yan Tong, live joyfully in the world, adapting to conditions. Living in the world, but knowing and finding joy in the Dharma prevents suffering. There is a story about an old woman, the mother of a Tibetan teacher. She did not understand much of the teachings but applied what she knew to help those around her live well. One day, a neighbor whose husband had just died came to the Lama's house seeking comfort. But the Lama was away and she met the mother. The old woman comforted her. You feel sad, which is understandable, but it is not necessary because everything that is born must disintegrate and return to its origin. No one can avoid death. Everything is impermanent. Understanding this is a blessing. She meant that because everything is impermanent, having been born, it must die. No one can avoid this. Wanting it not to die will only cause suffering. Knowing this, we should adapt to conditions. The grieving woman was still sad, so the old woman continued to comfort her. Go ahead and cry, pull your hair out if you want. But then you must think and reduce your sorrow. Don't forget that your sorrow is also impermanent, like clouds and wind. It will lessen, just like everything else in this world. I am an old woman who has experienced loss and sorrow and seen many loved ones come and go, so my advice to you is, don't hold anything in your heart. The old woman advised that although it was natural to feel sad, one must also think to reduce the sadness. She said the sorrow in your heart is also impermanent. No matter how much you grieve, after a few months or a year, it will lessen. Has anyone grieved for their entire life? Emotions are impermanent. If we hold on to them, they cause suffering. So she advised, don't hold anything in your heart. To make life lighter, holding on to things causes suffering. If we understand and apply this, our life will have much less suffering. There is a meaningful story in Zen. Two brothers were walking on a path after a rain, and the path was muddy. They had to cross a shallow stream. At that moment, a young woman in a beautiful kimono needed to cross the stream. The older brother, with a compassionate heart, said, "Young lady, come here, I will carry you across." He carried her across the stream, placed her on the other side, and continued walking back to the temple. The younger brother felt uncomfortable seeing this. On the way back, he was unhappy, and the atmosphere was tense. Nearing the temple, unable to bear it anymore, he said, "Today, you acted inappropriately." The older brother asked, "What do you mean by that?" The younger brother replied, "As monks, we are not supposed to touch women, yet you carried that young woman across the stream." The older brother said, "I put her down at the stream, but you are still carrying her in your mind." This is a Zen story, where the older brother acted without attachment, while the younger brother held on to it and felt unhappy. Although it is a humorous story, it is full of wisdom, reminding us to practice letting go and keeping the mind empty and unattached. For example, when a Buddhist goes to the market or factory and someone says something hurtful, they might feel sad for a moment. No one is a saint here, so feeling sad for a while is normal, but we should leave it there and move on. Feeling sad for a moment in the market or factory but letting it go when we return home makes life lighter. If not, we carry it home, to the bedroom, and even to bed, unable to sleep, which causes suffering. Understanding this principle, we can live very lightly. Understanding that everything is impermanent and living according to conditions is a great medicine for worldly suffering. Buddhists learning the Dharma is like patients taking medicine. Buddha's teachings are like medicine. For patients to recover, they must take the medicine. Reading about the medicine's formula does not cure the illness. No matter how much we study the Dharma, hearing about impermanence until our ears are full, if we still cling to impermanence when it comes, we suffer. Thus, studying Buddhism means learning to take the medicine, absorbing and applying the teachings for practical benefits. Valuing time, understanding the meaning and application of the Buddha's teachings on impermanence in our lives shows that learning about impermanence is not to make us pessimistic or uninterested in life. Many people misunderstand and doubt this after learning the Dharma. In the past, some people asked, if Buddhism teaches that everything is impermanent, doesn't that make people lose interest in life? Knowing that everything is impermanent doesn't mean we should stop doing things and waste our time. This kind of thinking leads to pessimism and weakness, which is a misunderstanding. The Buddha taught that impermanence means that once things pass, we cannot bring them back. Therefore, the present time is very precious and we must cherish it. We should not waste our time but live meaningfully, appreciating the present. Saying everything is impermanent and doing nothing is a waste of life. The good conditions we have now are not easy to encounter a second time. Thus, we must cherish and develop them without hesitation. Today, thanks to the good conditions of being near a temple and learning the Dharma, we should develop our good roots so that in future lives they will multiply. What if we are born into other forms of existence? Understanding the meaning of impermanence means not letting these good conditions pass us by as we might not find them again later. Clearly, understanding this makes life more positive, not negative. In an ancient Indian tale, a man bought a piece of land from his neighbor. It happened to be on the last day of the Golden Age, transitioning into the Dark Age. After buying the land, he dug up a pot of gold. Being honest, he returned it to the former owner, saying, "I bought your land, not the gold, so I'm returning the gold to you." The other man said, "I'm happy for you. When I sold the land, I sold everything. I didn't know there was gold. This is your good fortune, and you have the right to keep it." They kept pushing the gold back and forth, as it was still the Golden Age. However, the transition to the Dark Age was nearing, so they said, "It's late. Let's deal with it tomorrow." That night, both men reconsidered and felt regretful. The next morning, the buyer said, "I've thought it over. You were right. I bought the land, so the gold under it is mine. I'll keep it." The seller responded, "No, I've also thought it over. You only bought the land, and the gold is mine. I'll keep the gold." They argued and ended up going to court, becoming enemies. This shows the impermanence of human nature. What was beautiful and good yesterday had changed by the next morning. Thus we see that from our body and mind to the external environment, everything changes. When encountering good times, we must seize the opportunity and act quickly. If we don't, we may change our minds. In the Buddhist time, there is a story about a very poor couple who only had a single piece of cloth to cover themselves. Each day, they took turns going out to beg. One day, the husband met a disciple of the Buddha and developed a desire to make an offering. Despite their poverty, he wanted to offer something and discussed it with his wife, saying, "We must have done something wrong in a previous life to be so poor now. Let's make an offering to create merit for a better future." The wife replied, "We only have this cloth. How will we go begging tomorrow if we offer it?" The husband said, "Making an offering will bring blessings." After much discussion, they decided to offer the cloth. At that time, a monk passed by their house. The husband crawled to the window and offered the cloth with all his sincerity. After offering it, he exclaimed, "I've won! I've won!" He had indeed won. He overcame his poverty and selfishness. The monk, hearing his exclamation, investigated and learned about their situation. He reported it to the Buddha. The Buddha and the monks, along with the king and many lay followers, were moved. The king sent soldiers to bring clothes and gold to the couple. Later, they went to hear the Buddha's teachings and transform their lives for the better. This is immediate karma. When encountering good opportunities, seize them and act quickly. If they had waited until the next day, it would have been difficult to make the offering. This is something we should learn and apply in our lives. We must remember that everything in the world, including our body and mind, is impermanent and constantly changing. Therefore, when we encounter good conditions, we should act immediately, or else negative conditions may lead us astray. In the sutras, it is taught, "Hasten to do good, restrain your mind from evil. If you are slow to do good, your mind will delight in evil." Dhammapada 1:16. The Buddha teaches us this. If we are slow to do good, evil will creep in, so we must seize the opportunity to do good immediately, reducing the chance of evil arising. Understanding impermanence makes life not negative but very positive, always ready to do good within our capacity. There's a story about the founder of the Pure Land School, Master Shinran. He was a reborn sage with deep Dharma seeds. Due to previous cultivation, he remembered early in life. At 9, he approached Master Honen and asked to become a monk. Master Honen asked, "You are so young, why do you want to become a monk?" Shinran replied, "Although I am young, my parents died early. I don't understand why people must die and why I must be separated from my parents. I wish to understand this truth, so I asked to become a monk." Even at a young age, he had a noble aspiration to become a monk. Master Honen said, "I understand. I will accept you as my disciple, but it is getting late. I will ordain you tomorrow morning." Shinran replied, "Master, you say you will ordain me tomorrow morning, but I cannot guarantee my aspiration to become a monk will last until tomorrow. Moreover, you are old, and you cannot guarantee you will wake up tomorrow to ordain me. So please ordain me now." Master Honen, hearing this, clapped his hands and laughed, very pleased. "You are right, I will ordain you now." Later, Shinran cultivated and became the founder of the Pure Land School. Shinran, due to past cultivation, remembered early in life and understood impermanence. At 9, he could speak like that. Can we speak like that yet? Although young, he had a strong determination to become a monk, fearing he might not maintain it until the next day. He also recognized his master's advanced age, unsure if he would survive until the next day. This is understanding impermanence. Previously, some Tibetan monks would clean and wrap their teapot and cups carefully before going to bed, thinking they might not wake up to use them the next day. Understanding impermanence this deeply, they quickly attained enlightenment. If we could be like them, we would likely attain enlightenment quickly and reduce our afflictions. Whenever someone makes us angry, we should think, why get angry when death is near? I don't even know if I will breathe out again after breathing in. This helps reduce afflictions. Thinking we will live for 70 or 80 years gives us time to hold on to afflictions. Understanding impermanence deeply makes us happy and reduces afflictions significantly. It shows the practical, valuable, and noble nature of the Dharma. Otherwise, when we hear the Dharma is precious, we might not understand why. Understanding it deeply and applying it in life deepens and strengthens our faith. The profound meaning of impermanence. Previously, we discussed the transient aspect of impermanence. If we can skillfully progress further, we will realize the true essence within impermanence. Speaking of impermanence aims to help people realize the truth, to rise above it, and to live authentically, rather than merely seeing impermanence as something transient. This is the deeper meaning of impermanence. The principle of impermanence is not meant to make people pessimistic. Understanding that everything is impermanent helps us avoid delusions and return to our true nature, which we have forgotten. This true nature is Buddha nature, our fundamental mind and the truth within ourselves. All sentient beings possess Buddha nature, which is untouchable by impermanence. Although sentient beings are subject to impermanence, they do not lose their Buddha nature. Thus, those who cultivate and attain enlightenment can transform sentient beings into Buddhas. Buddhas, bodhisattvas, and all sages were once deluded sentient beings. When they were deluded, they were sentient beings. Upon enlightenment, they transformed into Buddhas. Buddhas arose from sentient beings, as did bodhisattvas, arhats, and other sages. Therefore, within sentient beings lies the potential to transcend their current state. Speaking of impermanence helps us not be mistaken by this illusion and skillfully live in accordance with the truth of enlightenment. Zen Master Mangyak's verse teaches us, "Spring goes, 100 flowers fall. Spring comes, 100 flowers bloom. Before our eyes things pass by. On the head old age arrives. Do not say that when spring has gone, flowers fall completely." Last night, a branch of apricot blossomed before the court. This verse reveals the true essence within impermanence. Spring departs and 100 flowers fall. Spring arrives and 100 flowers bloom. Life flows before our eyes like water. Water flows continuously. After a while, we see that old age has arrived with gray hair. The verse reminds us that everything in life, from external circumstances to our own bodies, is subject to the transformations of impermanence. But why mention the departure of spring first? Usually people say arrival first. Spring arrives, flowers bloom. Spring departs, flowers fall. Here, the Master says the opposite. Spring departs, 100 flowers fall. Spring arrives, 100 flowers bloom. This was the Master's teaching verse as he was about to pass away, reminding the community not to be too sad. His body, like everything, comes into existence, and when its conditions are exhausted, departs. Just as spring departs, flowers fall. Yet when the conditions return, flowers bloom again. This illustrates the transient nature of the world. However, within that, do not say that when spring has gone, flowers fall completely, meaning even in the fleeting spring, there remains. Last night, a branch of apricot blossomed before the court. What does this mean? The Master chose his words carefully. He didn't say there was a cluster of apricot blossoms, but a branch. A cluster of blossoms will fall again, but a branch remains, and when spring comes, it will bloom once more. Flowers may fall and wither, but the branch remains. This clarifies that while life is impermanent and the body perishes, the true essence remains. Similarly, the Master may be gone physically, but is not truly lost. He will appear again when conditions are right, just like the apricot branch that blooms again in spring. This means that within impermanence lies the true essence. Therefore, Buddha speaks of impermanence to lead people back to their true nature. Understanding this reveals the profound meaning of impermanence, beyond just its transient nature. Through this, we see the deep and immeasurable Dharma. In the Mahayana Sutras, this body is called the illusory body, a transient, falsely existent body. But there is also the Dharma body, which is not subject to birth and death. In the Lotus Sutra, the Buddha speaks of his lifespan, stating that it has been countless kalpas since he attained Buddhahood, far longer than can be measured. He illustrates this by saying, if we ground the great Trichiliacosm, a vast number of worlds, into dust, and after passing 100,000 worlds, drop one grain of dust and continue until all grains are dropped, the number of worlds traversed, with and without a dust drop, would be incalculable. From that time until now, the Buddha has been even longer in existence. Thus, what is the Buddha's true lifespan? Usually we think the Buddha lived 80 years and then entered nirvana. But if we understand the Buddha's words, he has never truly entered nirvana in the sense of cessation. Because of delusion, we see the Buddha entering nirvana. If we are enlightened, we see the Buddha ever present. The Buddha's true nature has always been present, never entering nirvana. Each person has Buddha nature, but the Buddha within us has entered nirvana countless times. Now we must bring the Buddha to life again. By attaining enlightenment, we see the Buddha arise. Seeing the Buddha arise surpasses countless kalpas in nirvana. We then understand the truth that the cycle of birth and death is like a dream. We may think the Buddha entered nirvana, but he is still with us. Understanding this profound principle is enough for a lifetime of practice. This could take many lifetimes to fully grasp, but many of us have become accustomed to hearing about impermanence and may grow tired of it, seeking more profound teachings. If we truly understand the deep meaning of impermanence and apply it in our practice, we can make great progress, potentially attaining Buddhahood. It's not a trivial matter. Conclusion: understanding that the world is impermanent helps us let go of attachments, cultivate Bodhi mind, and avoid falling into delusion. It encourages us to live positively and seize golden opportunities for progress. Thus, everything in the world is impermanent, with nothing solid or lasting. Seeing this helps us live more open-heartedly and closer to each other. Knowing life is impermanent, we reduce the suffering we cause each other. Living together in this transient world, we should bring joy rather than sorrow to each other, making life more joyful and remaining calm amidst the impermanence. Like the old woman advising another, we should remember that all is impermanent, including our sorrowful mind. Whenever we feel sad, we should recall that our mind is also impermanent and never static. Skillfully applying this understanding helps us continually progress on the path of Dharma, reducing suffering, which is like taking medicine. Contemplating impermanence deeply can lead to enlightenment. In ancient times, some attained arhatship through contemplating impermanence, realizing the selflessness of the body, eliminating ego, and overcoming delusion. There was a monk who one morning saw a pond full of blooming lotuses. By noon, a group of girls had come to pick the lotuses, carelessly damaging the remaining flowers and leaves. By afternoon, the once beautiful pond looked desolate. The monk, observing this, deeply contemplated the impermanent nature of all things and attained arhatship. Thus, practitioners should skillfully contemplate impermanence and apply it in their lives, not merely understanding it superficially. From what has been discussed, you might understand the concept of impermanence, but is this understanding truly yours or still just the teacher's understanding? You need to make it your own. To conclude this teaching, remember what a Tibetan master said. Have you ever truly understood and realized the principle of impermanence? Have you integrated it into every thought, every breath, and every action so that your life is transformed by it? This means understanding and realizing impermanence in every breath, every step, and every word, thereby transforming your life. Can you do this? Ask yourself these two questions, and if you can answer them, you truly understand impermanence. 1. Do I remember that I am always dying, and so is everyone and everything else? Therefore, do I treat all sentient beings with compassion at all times? Sitting here, do you remember that you are gradually dying? Remembering that you are dying and so is everyone else fosters compassion and empathy, understanding that we share the same fate. Can you answer this question? 2. Has my understanding of death and impermanence become so sharp and urgent that I am dedicating every remaining moment of my life to the pursuit of enlightenment? If you can answer yes to these 2 questions, you truly understand impermanence. Has anyone here answered these questions yet? If not, what should you do? Clearly, understanding impermanence requires lifelong learning. Understanding this now, even while sitting here, can transform your life significantly, reducing afflictions. Thus, this teaching is like medicine for everyone. Now skillfully take this medicine.